You're watching TBPN. We're live from the Palace of Party Rounds. Oh my God. It's YC Demo Day. Welcome to our YC Demo Day stream.
That is insane.
We have Gary Tan joining us. Wow, you absolutely destroyed my laptop. That is insane. We brought lots of party favors. We brought lots of activities. Gary Tan, welcome to the stream.
There he is. What's going on?
The president of Y Combinator, Gary Tan, good to see you.
Great to see you.
Always great to see y'all.
There's a line around the block still.
Yeah.
Is that right?
People are pumped.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
It's absolutely slammed. Take us through, what are you seeing? How's this one going? What's actually changed? Because we're in a different location.
Yeah, we're literally
break it all down.
in the middle of, this is like our HQ, you know?
Yeah.
This is, we got the spring batch together. This is the first spring batch that we've ever done.
So it's X25 now?
Yeah.
Cool.
Paul Graham doesn't like X,
Okay,
so
what
we're
are we gonna
slowly
do?
replacing it with spring.
Spring? Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
You know, when you create a place like this, I think you get to dictate little things like,
Sure.
not liking X.
Yeah,
You
he's a
know?
legend.
So we got to write out spring.
Okay.
But, I don't know. What do you think it should be? It could be P. Maybe if it's not X, it's printemps.
Well, do we have to go back to
French.
mathematical notation for this stuff?
Maybe,
Bring in some different, we have the Y Combinator algorithm.
That's
we need
right.
a different algorithm to define the different seasons.
I think
right.
just full word,
Full word,
winter, spring,
25.
summer, fall.
Yeah.
Summer, fall.
Well,
It's
I mean,
clean. It's
the
clean.
the energy from the founders is really electric. Honestly, it's insane.
Seems fantastic.
Like downstairs, we got the fun thing about hosting all of the investors in our house is that I got a whole "Whose house? Our house" chant downstairs. So we got
Give us an overview of we heard a little bit of your talk earlier, but give us kind of a breakdown of how you introduced today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, dude, it's like 90% AI. It's about 10%, 11% hard tech, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then the really crazy stat is, how the last 4 batches, about the last year, the batch itself as a whole has been growing revenue by 10%. This time it's 12.
Wow.
There we go.
So we're actually inflecting up, and that's what you would expect. We're in the middle of the age of intelligence.
Yep.
6 months ago, 9 months ago, the models were 90 IQ. And, then they were 110. Now they're about 130. We're sort of entering super intelligence zone.
Yeah.
And
4-digit IQ incoming.
yeah, that's right.
1,000. I don't even want to talk to that. But yeah, probably very valuable.
I thought Sam's essay yesterday was very prescient
I liked
in
it a
that,
lot.
that's sort of the silver lining. Like everyone's sort of worried, what's going to happen to the jobs. Like to me, what's going to happen is the exact. It's actually an opening.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Like. The wild stat that we're seeing is actually the number of 18 to 22-year-olds applying to YC and getting it is up 110%.
Wow.
Year on year, right?
Yeah.
So,
is that driven by people liking to drop out of college or skipping college entirely? Is that because they're viewing college as kind of like, there was always a meme about like, you put YC in the education section of your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh wait, no, YC could actually be the replacement. Is that intentional?
Well, the extreme meme here that is interesting to think about. Like, I don't believe this, but the memes among the 18 to 22-year-olds in particular is this might be the last time you can start businesses.
Oh, interesting.
Because once super intelligence hits, then the moats that the businesses that will exist will sort of ensconce like the 7 powers of the moats out there.
Sure. They're
and
just
then
maximally efficient.
Yeah, exactly.
They just reach their terminal value immediately and maintain it forever.
So you're trying to get network effects. You're trying to build. We're trying to get brand. You're trying to get a cornered resource.
Sure.
And then the wildest thing here is that, this perfect. Someone was telling me yesterday. Right now, if you look at college grads, the rate of unemployment for CS grads is actually 2x that of art history majors.
That is crazy.
I have not looked this up yet.
Yeah,
so,
I heard that
Everybody's
too.
been quoting that. We've heard that too. We talked about it.
There might just be something crazy going on with art history majors. They found some
hallucinating.
hack. They found some hack and they're all getting employed. It's full employment for them. Very interesting. Question on the AI side. How are the companies feeling about the current battle between little tech and big tech? What we saw with WWDC, it feels like Apple's kind of retreating from some territory. We could be seeing more
creating opportunities for developers.
For like mobile apps. We could see another mobile app boom because Apple's saying, hey, look, maybe we're not the company to build every single AI experience on the iPhone. We're seeing new hardware maybe come from OpenAI. There's different stuff going on with open source. What's the interplay between the average YC company and the Mag 7 right now?
Oh, the good thing is we still have, we have net neutrality.
Yeah.
So, and that thing we have 7 companies in the mega tech world.
Yep.
But you know what? Like anyone can just put something on the internet and they get distribution,
Yep.
right? So I think that the most important thing right now that I think all of us should really be considering is we need platform neutrality, right?
Yeah.
The second that today you open your Siri and you don't get to choose, do I want Perplexity, do I want Anthropic, do I want ChatGPT on there?
Yeah.
No, like that. This is actually the next sort of unfolding that needs to happen.
Sure.
Like we actually need the platforms to allow other people to enter. But if we do that, we can actually have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of companies, each of which can get to $1 billion net revenue.
Yep. Totally.
And like you could do it probably with 10 people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you link up these 2 super mega trends, like that's the future that we want to live in, right? Like you can be 18 to 22. You know, you don't necessarily have to go in. Like the credential matters a lot less. You know what matters now? It matters your agency and your taste.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to like go and get anyone's permission
the nature
for
of
that.
LLMs, you could actually get a better tutor from an LLM than you could from at times working under somebody at some big company who would maybe explain, here's how you make a financial model for a software company. But now you could just talk enough with ChatGPT that you can probably figure it out even better than having like a mentor in some cases.
I want to ask about applying to YC. Have you noticed that the apps are becoming more GPT driven? Are people using AI to write their apps? Do you recommend against that? What do you think?
I mean, if anything, like I think the best apps, in the past we might say, oh, this is AI slop. I think because the models are now smart enough, like my writing process, for instance, has totally changed at this point. Like I am, you're actually able to come up with better ideas, I think.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I would rather people actually prompt to get like all of the ideas out there. One of the things I've been using in ChatGPT lately is like, give me 10 options for different concepts or ideas that might fit here.
Yeah.
And then what I'm doing is I'm using my prompting to do that.
Yep.
And then on the back end, it'll give me like 10 things. 5 of them make no sense.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them in my brain, I'm like, I didn't think about that. That actually is a useful thing that I can put in with these other concepts that are in my head.
Yeah.
And so I think it's actually, the computer is a bicycle for the mind. Like if you can prompt really, really well, using it you have to treat it like a vehicle, right?
Yeah.
It is not a destination of its own. It's actually, this is like the self-driving car for the mind.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, even just
or treat it like a
app
coworker.
review.
All that matters is the end output.
Yeah.
And if you're working on any type of project, not working with a smart collaborator is going to lead to a worse output.
Yeah,
and O3 Pro
condensing down these ideas, because I've read a lot of apps where it's like, wow, there's actually like some really incredible KPIs in here, but you buried it in paragraphs of exposition that were completely unnecessary. And I know that the people that are actually reviewing the YC apps are not going to read this far. And so just having it as a co-pilot seems like a really, really good.
How have you and the other group partners pushed to guide the batch around reporting on revenue, right? There's a lot of conversation around what is ARR? It's sort of this flexible definition. There's obviously a lot of pressure for every founder coming into demo day to like show results. How do you guys kind of guide founders
absolutely.
on reporting?
What we'd like people to do is put contracted ARR if it is, and then if it has an opt-out clause where people can sort of get out, they should just have a little star on it, and it's like opt out at 30 days or whatever. I think it is very, very important that founders are just don't engage in securities fraud. It's like kind of a basic thing, right? So I think that it is the amazing thing about the tech today is like the demos are so impressive that people are willing to take a big chance.
Big companies are willing to sign up for big deals. And they obviously want some flexibility, but being really clear about that. I mean, these are non-GAAP metrics.
That's right.
There is some gray area, but we need to define new metrics as we move forward.
Are you seeing companies able to pivot more times within a single batch and just iterate faster
kind of rewrite
to get
the
to better
entire code
outputs?
base?
Because historically it wasn't unreasonable for a company to pivot a few times to get to something great, and maybe they only have 2 weeks at the end to really sprint and show progress.
Sure.
Now I could imagine certain companies like really, really, really pushing it. Have you seen that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something like 30% of the companies change their idea during the batch, and that's actually great.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course, you discover
it means
something
that
as you're researching and building.
Yeah, and I think that that's always been true. I mean, some of the biggest companies end up being literally pivots from like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
and then I think that people might say, oh, that, that kind of sucks, or, why is that? I mean, I think it's good news. The good news is like, you can just do things.
Yeah.
The good news is like,
so when I think of the YC mantras, I think build something people want, talk to your customers, is you can just do things. A third that we're adding,
so,
is that important to have that volition, that agency? Yeah. It's the distillation of agency, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, a lot of it actually, I think the most important thing that I feel like everyone has to learn the hard way is to learn the sound of your own voice, to say, not to get all bicameral mind about it, but that's sort of where we're at, actually.
Do it.
Well, no, I mean, if you read, PG's old essays, like one of the things that really jumps out at me is like, to what degree, your childhood, your schooling, like he has so many essays about, what high school is like, being a nerd, like all these things are like, really spoke to me, and that, the process of becoming actually a founder is actually a journey inward to actually learn the sound of your own voice, that like you can make your own way, you can have agency, just because, I mean, actually by definition, the startups that create new categories require a level of courage that like people have to find within themselves. Actually, you have to say, actually, you know what, like I know the Wall Street Journal says that, and the hater decel journalists say this, and all this stuff. You have to actually separate yourself from the default view of how the world works, and then you're actually trying to divine secret knowledge by going into the markets, going to talk to people that have never even touched ChatGPT yet, right? Like they don't know it's like that meme where you're in, you're the tech guy like in the corner, and then like everyone's dancing and they just don't know. They don't like, that's where we're at still. Like it won't be like that for another year or two, but like for now, that's still true. You go into any business in the world, they don't know this revolution is about to happen to them.
Crazy.
And we get to create it.
Like last demo day, we talked to a company that was doing AI voice interactions to help the elderly process Medicare receipts, essentially. And they discovered that the elderly were talking to their chatbots for like 3 hours. And that's just something that like you might be able to predict intuitively, but I thought it was just a very funny like discovery that only happens from actually trying to build in that market with the latest and greatest technology. And that's what I love about YC Demo Day.
What's your latest thinking on batch sizes? Are we staying, where we're at?
The high level is like, we want as much prosperity in the world as possible. Brian Chesky's on my board. Paul Graham and Jessica Livingston, Carolyn Levy. The board has given me my directives. It's, what we need to... This is the tree of prosperity. Let's have the tree of prosperity grow. But I think that YC fundamentally is the managed marketplace. You look at an Airbnb. I'm still bullish on Airbnb, and that you look at the amount of space in the world. The amount of space that has been listed on Airbnb is still a tiny fraction of what it could be. And what does that unlock? And it unlocks new experiences, travel like a human, like all these things. It's a $100 billion company from nothing. And I think that the same thing is about to happen to innovation and venture, but we have to do it thoughtfully, right? Like, we're at Demo Day here. We have more than 1,000 of the top investors in the world all congregated here, right?
Wow,
we have 1,000 people in this building.
That's amazing.
And
incredible.
We need to grow them thoughtfully. Like we need, what I need YC to continue to provide returns, right? And can't comment on, the rumors about scale this week, but like we need a lot more things like that, and we're getting it. This is sort of uniquely the community where that happens.
Talk to us about the 2 new partners that were added to the YC partnership.
Oh yeah, there's 3 actually.
Oh, 3?
Yeah,
okay.
sorry, 2. Yeah, Andrew Miklas and John Shu actually.
Okay, cool.
Sorry,
what about
I almost
Tyler?
announced. No, yeah, Tyler too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Tyler too.
Got it.
I mean, all of them created companies that exited for hundreds of millions to PagerDuty as a public company.
Wow.
North of $1 billion.
That's remarkable.
Those are exactly the kind of partners that we want at YC. Great. It's like they've been there and they've done that.
So roughly how big is the partnership now?
It's 15 partners total.
15 partners.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you can still keep the actual group sizes fairly small within the batch.
I mean, that's the main, you can just basically guess at what the batch size will be because each partner can do 10 to 25 companies depending on how hard they want to work. But, I don't think it's a numbers game. I think it's, we want to fund all the really, really good founders. And I feel a little bit embarrassed about, we're accepting companies at a 0.8% rate right now.
Wow.
Right.
0.8%,
And so,
yeah.
I think that we're behind the 8 ball, actually.
Sure.
Like, I feel really good about this.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to keep growing what we
good.
got here.
Yeah.
But I also need to grow the partnership, and then we need to fund better and better companies.
Yep.
And then, this is a 10, 20, 50, 100-year thing. Like, we're trying to build Y Combinator into a multi-100-year institution.
It belongs. We need it.
Have you had any companies go through this batch and decide not to raise additional capital at this point because they're just making so much revenue that they have no need for
famously, Tom funded Axiom last batch.
Yeah.
And
they're doing hundreds of
millions of dollars in pure profit. So
I saw that and I was like trying to look back through our stream and like, did we have them
crypto's
on?
wild, man.
Yeah, it's a wild west. It's a wild west.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much for coming on the stream.
Thanks
Gary.
for having me.
As always, fantastic.
It's an honor.
Welcome to the stream. I'm John. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm John. How are you doing?
Or die season 2 soon?
Everyone died.
Everyone died. You didn't hear the story about PMF or Die? They died.
They died. Yeah. It happens sometimes.
Never lock yourself in a room for the 90 days.
No, live
Instead,
stream
move
all
to
day.
sunny San Francisco. Do YC. That's our recommendation.
Basically the same thing.
From
I came
here
from
on out.
Philadelphia, so
Anyway, please introduce yourselves and the company.
Yeah, I'm Tom.
Tom?
I'm Eric. Yeah,
Eric,
You
nice to
guys,
meet you.
you guys look. You're not related
guys
at all,
meet?
right?
We're not related.
You could go by brothers. People
cool.
ask us. People ask us. Are you guys
people
brothers?
always ask us if we're
But,
brothers. What does the company do?
We're doing agentic people search. So
Okay.
we have a people database of around 200 million people. And
Interesting.
We use agentic search to search over that for companies and businesses to do like sales, recruiting, GTM. And
So are we talking about specifically like I am a recruiter and I need a salesperson and I'm going to go to you to try and hire them?
No. So basically, like you can put in a criteria. Like essentially, what we do is
hold the microphone up.
Here, push the microphone a little bit closer to you.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, essentially, what we do is we like deploy an LLM, assign every profile to that LLM, and then given your criteria, that could be like one paragraph long. We just ask the LLM if this profile like meets that criteria, and then we built like a load distributor to run like 10,000 LLM calls in parallel.
Wow.
Do that at scale. We can search over like 5 million profiles in like 30 minutes. And then,
Okay.
Insane.
So walk me through one of the key examples. I'm sure this is live. You have customers.
Yeah.
What's an example of someone using this?
So,
in
for example,
production?
we had a query come in yesterday. Actually, it was just like every founder that was acquired, that was the CTO of their startup, was acquired by Databricks or Snowflake in the last 3 years, and they still work there. And then there's only probably like 25 people in the world that fits that profile, and we found all 25 of them just by because we can use and have an LLM go in, just because we have like we can throw as much compute at the problem as we want.
Interesting.
And then the LLMs get better the more compute you throw at it.
It's interesting to be able to find. You're able to find information that is historically effectively impossible to find without doing all the work that you guys did ahead of time.
Makes a ton of sense. Yeah. So what buyer or what buyer archetype within an enterprise or business is most excited to buy your product?
Yeah, I mean, like mega recruiters by far.
Recruiting firms?
No, just like people that
Hyperscaler.
Or like a big recruiter at Meta.
I mean, we work with Mercor right now, for example.
Oh, Mercor. Okay, cool.
So like just like people hunting for talent, but it's like a generalized type skill, right? So for example, like an AI Labs training a new voice model, and they need like people that speak Cantonese.
Sure.
And then it's like, okay, like find me every Cantonese speaker in the U.S. that has like a podcast presence.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, great, these guys can come train our voice models, right? Like that's kind of.
Or they might even need someone who speaks Cantonese and also is an expert in biology.
Yeah.
So they can talk about the biology terms. Yeah. And that's something that.
Exactly.
How are you going to search for that on LinkedIn?
It's so funny because I run these type of queries in my own head where I'm like, we need a videographer who's in LA.
Yep.
That has experience in film, but
I mean,
but it's also part of Teapot. That's basically what we need oftentimes. Like has a sense of humor. It's like, how would you even know that? Well, if you look through their posts, I'm sure you could figure that out.
I mean, it's basically like as close as you can. If you just give like a criteria to human recruiter.
Totally.
So you can imagine like 5,000 human recruiters just like manually looking over profiles, and then
Okay, business model. Are you most recruiting firms? They charge on like a per fee basis, $30,000 to place an engineer somewhere.
Yeah.
Are you doing like a seat-based pricing, consumption-based
Yeah.
pricing? This sounds expensive if you're talking about running
It
20
is.
million LLM queries at the same time.
It's actually not as expensive as people think because
Okay.
because open source models have gotten so good.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'm guessing any like deep research query costs us like $10 maybe.
Okay.
But then like we charge for conversion with our B2B customers.
conversion, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We charge by conversion
Cool.
for B2B customers.
So that's probably
Yeah.
pretty expensive, which
Exactly.
is great.
Yeah.
And also, we have like a platform that's just available to everybody, so
Got
they
it.
can pay us a subscription fee, search as much as they want.
Very
and
cool.
then do email enrichment phone number.
I feel like we could use this. This is we might be
Yeah,
potential
We need
customers.
we need a guest that doesn't hate tech that can talk about this. How did you two meet? What were you doing
Yeah.
before YC?
Yeah, so we met in elementary school actually. So we were originally from Canada.
Let's go.
We met in elementary school, and we
Brain
became
drain,
close
brain
friends.
drain.
Yeah, it's been great here. But we became close friends when Eric he uninstalled Windows on my computer.
Nice.
And I was really pissed at him for a day, and then we fixed it. So then we became great friends after that.
That's how great.
Windows?
That's how great
You
friendship
just
started.
couldn't load anything?
Yeah,
Because
like,
you didn't
I
even
had
install
homework
Linux
due
for
that
you?
night. I had
just-
homework.
Yeah.
It was during school, and then
Ultimate prank,
Just boys.
uninstall Windows on your best friend's computer.
Boys
Yeah.
being boys.
And then
Yeah.
we spent one
The
semester
night-
at college each. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
so I was at Penn, he was at UC San Diego,
Okay.
and then come January we were both like why are we even there?
Let's drop out.
Yeah,
Wait, so you guys 18, 19?
we're both
Yeah, we're
18 right
18.
now. Yeah.
Let's
Wow.
go. Let's go.
Here we go.
Came
That's
down here.
amazing.
Yeah. figured it out,
What's
yeah.
what's the youngest team that you've met here besides yourselves?
17. There is
17.
a high school senior.
Okay.
I
Damn.
didn't all
They
the
got
I met
you.
when I was in there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm doing
There
some
is a high school
robotics
senior. It
research.
is getting younger, yeah.
Yeah, we have a bottle of wine here. We're gonna give it to you.
Giving it to the youngest.
Not
We
yet.
both
Wait,
received
wow.
one from
Hopefully you're not
Brooklyn.
going back through YC in 3 years. Hopefully you're at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
NASDAQ or something.
Talk to me about traction, metrics, anything that you're sharing here at Demo Day,
Yeah.
anything to get the venture capitalists excited.
Yeah, 270 paying customers.
Wow.
First version of the. So I don't know if you guys heard about Linked.
Linked? No.
Yeah. All right.
Explain.
So a very early version of this product we launched, which is like Rank Stanford, like Stanford Rank.
Okay.
Which was so we basically built this. We basically scraped the entire alumni database of Stanford.
I'm sure they
and
love
then-
that.
Yeah, they were okay with it. We put it online, and then we had this app where people can like see two random alumni put next to each other, and
it's the hot or not,
and
basically.
then you vote for who's more cracked.
Who's more cracked?
And that version
Cracked or not?
and that version of the app picked up like 80,000
That's amazing.
users. Was how we got into YC and stuff.
Very cool, very cool.
And then we came down here, 207 paying customers, about 16,000 monthly recurring revenue.
That's great.
Since
Ramen
3 weeks ago.
profitable.
Yeah.
Profitable,
Guys.
yeah. No, but
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Is
What,
the team just you two right now?
So there's 3 of us.
Three of you.
We're two co-founders,
Okay, cool.
our founding engineers from high school.
Cool.
He just graduated.
same
from
high
high
school.
school.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
same
High
high
school.
school.
Yeah, we all went to the same
God.
high school.
That's
it's been
amazing.
fire. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything
yeah.
else?
No,
think we're good.
I'm super excited for you guys.
Congratulations
All
on
right.
YC.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna
Thank
get on
you.
the product, and I actually
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
bunch of people to send this to.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, you should give it a try.
Fantastic.
AI.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you
Awesome,
soon.
guys.
Bye.
Great meeting you guys.
So we were trying to make this happen for the last week.
Amazing.
But he just announced his Series A today, 17 million, right?
17 million.
Congratulations.
There we go.
Thank you, thank
There we go.
Well, I mean, we have stuff to celebrate.
I already got
17
the hat,
million. Yeah,
so
I got the
I'm-
There we
hat.
go.
Hey!
Congratulations.
Seems like you've done that a couple times.
Yeah, yeah.
all right.
Yeah, but
did-
not, this is the biggest round of the day.
This is the biggest round.
All right, all right.
yeah.
Who did the round? How far along are you? How big is the company? Give me some
Yeah,
stats.
yeah, okay. So 8VC did the. By the way,
cool.
guys, this is awesome. I did like the interview with VentureBeat, and I'm way more starstruck by this. So like, I'm not just saying that,
That's
but
amazing.
I'm like, all
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, so 8VC led the round.
Let's go. Let's go. What,
Joe
what
Lonsdale,
partner?
absolute dog.
Yeah.
What partner are you working with?
Jack Moshkovitz.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
He's great.
Awesome.
He
Okay.
is fantastic. Yeah. So how far along? So we're.
And were you in the last batch?
We,
or
no,
a couple?
we were a couple batches ago. We were summer 23.
Cool.
Great vintage.
Was that still remote,
excellent vintage.
or was that back?
No,
in
we were the
person?
first back.
Back.
We were,
There you go.
we had an advantage.
Very
in that.
nice.
But yeah, so Outset does AI moderated research.
Okay.
So what does that mean? It's like when big companies have to do a ton of research, like
Yep.
Nestle has to go figure out whether they should launch this weird version of DiGiorno pizza or something.
Sure.
They go do research.
Yep.
Yeah.
So either they're running massive surveys and they're getting like very low fidelity data. They don't really know much. It's just a bunch of numbers, or they're running interviews, and that's where it's a one-on-one interview with everybody, right? Which is not actually cost effective. So,
Yeah, totally.
So now you can run AI-led interviews. And that means AI is leading the conversation, digging in, following up, probing deeper, and synthesizing all of that for you.
Got it.
And we work
How
with.
big is that? How big is the legacy market in that space?
So the research market is like 140 billion. It's
Let's
actually
go.
a really big one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just like, there's like huge companies that you probably may have never heard, like Ipsos and Kantar, and like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
like big guys that are just kind of sitting there. So there's a lot of opportunity. And we work with like Microsoft, Nestle, Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
So we've been super enterprise focused, and we're a couple years in.
What are the interaction patterns that you like or you think are kind of unlocked by AI? I imagine that voice phone calls is top of mind versus like forums, which was always like available and already computerized essentially.
It's actually, I think the cooler thing is what you can get from participants and synthesize. So it's like, so now we do video interviews and they do audio, and they can even share their screen.
Yeah.
Right? So like all of that is being ingested.
Interesting.
And then like people ask like, does AI have an avatar when it's interviewing? And we actually did research, and people don't want that.
They don't want the avatar.
No, they don't want the
Interesting.
avatar.
Yeah, that was
the avatar is
obvious.
something like weird, uncanny valley stuff
that
where I'm
makes
like,
sense.
and you're just like
But
a
people
random.
are used to phone calls.
People used to phone calls, and they're fine sharing their video, but like if you suddenly see an AI, you're like, I'm trying to make $15 doing some research.
Totally.
Like, you like suddenly see that, you're gonna be all weirded out. So it's actually
Black
much
Mirror,
better to
yeah.
have AI come through with voice and text.
Yep. Talk to
Yeah.
me about recruiting. You said $15. That's enough to get someone to jump on, but how do they even find out that $15 is on the table?
Yeah, so we partner with a number of different like companies that do nothing but panels, like
Panels.
nothing
And-
but
and recruiting.
nothing but recruiting.
Got
So
it.
you have like user interviews and Prolific are
and
like
they
big
probably
partners.
get some demographics and some basics.
They get all that, and they have millions of people
Got
that
it.
are like ready to. It's like gig work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so
So
they
you say,
connect.
okay, I need 100,000 people that drink
Talk
energy
about,
drinks to give me feedback.
Exactly,
Got it.
exactly.
What-
And you could
And
do
they're all
all that
tagged.
through our platform. Cool. Go ahead.
Is there a certain unlock when an AI doesn't need to like, if a human is scheduling research calls, you can imagine they do like 4 30-minute blocks and then they take a little break and they do some more or something like that. I don't know how it works, but an AI could hypothetically talk for hours and hours and hours and hours, like kind of as long
100%.
as-
So there's like, I think a lot of AI stuff is like, oh, where can it replace the human thing, and now it's cheaper. But actually, like this is taking on the stuff that like humans can't physically do. We only have 24 hours in a day, and so it happens that people use it to like interview 500 people, right, in a day or two, and that's like it's literally not possible. It's like just the laws of physics don't allow it.
Yeah.
And so they're able to do that. They can do multilingual. They can kind of do it all at once. So you can wind up like unlocking actual like stuff you've never heard. Can I curse on this?
Oh, we usually don't, but
All right,
you're
I
free
won't.
to do it.
Stuff that they like would not have uncovered anywhere else. And they actually are able to get that like
Got it.
in this way.
Yeah.
What's your stack under the hood? What models are you using, getting the most value out of?
Yeah, we're using a combination. So it's it's like we're hitting multiple models constantly, but Azure, we're using a lot of Azure actually. So OpenAI models under the hood through
Interesting.
Azure.
Yeah.
And it's
Cool. Is their model router helpful? I saw they announced that at Build. I haven't talked to anyone that's actually used it.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't think we
Feel like
played
you
with
were
that
just
yet.
rolling it out,
So basically, like what we need is just an incredible amount of reliability, because what we'll have is like 3 customers are all running like 500 simultaneous interviews.
Sure,
so we have to actually scale very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And also like a lot of our customers, like the Nestle's of the world, like they care a lot about like super safe, super reliable.
Sure,
so
yeah.
we kind of like wind up needing the kind of Azure.
Yeah, and then you're also probably going through like peak LLM usage hours
That's
too,
right,
because you're
that's
not
right.
doing it in the middle of the night.
No, we can't just like
overseas.
process it on our own time. It like has
Exactly,
to happen
exactly.
in that moment.
So-
But then we also fall back to OpenAI. We use Gemini for
Sure,
stuff.
sure,
So
sure.
we're like hitting a lot.
Yeah, talk about is the voice modality beyond the uncanny valley at this point? Is that why voice is valuable? Are you using voice a lot? Because you can imagine that this might have been possible via text interactions. You're texting your responses back and forth. Probably get more out of a voice interaction. Are we just... Well, if we talk to you again in like 2 years, do you think it'll be like, okay, yeah, now I'm a believer in the avatar thing because it is photoreal?
Okay, so 2 things. So one, right now, what matters most is obviously the modality of the participant. Like if you think about like all we care about is the most deep, thoughtful, in-depth data that we can like
The
pull from you.
response.
The
Yeah.
response.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that matters
And that's
way
gonna be
more.
way better than text.
And that's way better than text.
Sure,
Our
sure.
first product that we
You gotta get them talking.
Yeah, our first like pilot with Weight Watchers back in 2023 was like all text, and it was actually pretty good, but like it's nothing compared to what people actually say.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so that's what matters most is like video screen share voice from the participants. From AI, so we use voice a lot. So there's a voice to voice mode where there's like no buttons, it's just conversation. And like people like it, but like not as much. And I think there's still just, if it's not a person, then it's still got the minor imperfections, the kind of slight bits of latency. And so I do think in 2 years we'll talk more about that. But ultimately, like, people know it's a computer, like they know it's AI. And like they're kind of cool about it. Like we've done a bunch of this research. We're like, do you care that it's AI? They're like, no, like I get it.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, they like have even expressed that like they'll share more because there isn't a person.
Sure.
It's this idea of like social desirability bias. You're like, I don't want to come off as a person that is X, Y, and Z to another human.
To the robot, I will just tell you, look, I want this to be faster, or I want this to taste better.
Or like the real reason I'm not using your product is this. I'm not going to say that to a PM or a researcher who's like at the company, right? But instead, you'll tell the real truth. And that was like our initial pilot with Weight Watchers was all about weight loss, and like that was like a thing people don't want to share a lot about. But with AI, they like shared everything about their life.
I mean, it sounds like you've done like you've worked with really big companies, and that's where the money is. But when you went through YC, or if you're here, there's a big theme of talk to your customers. Has there been any pull at the lower end of the market?
It's funny. I sometimes we get a founder reaching out like, I really want to use this because I don't want to talk to my customers. I might like normally like talk to your customers.
We don't want you as a customer if you don't want to.
Exactly. There's basically I think a good reason not to use an AI moderator is like, if you could sell to that person, probably don't outsource that, right? Like maybe to build the relationship yourself. The truth is, especially all the B2B stuff, there's not as much. Like we usually turn around and say, come back when you're like a couple hundred people, and like you're kind of scaling that out. But yeah, with some consumer stuff where you really have millions of people you're trying to learn from, it can make a ton of sense.
Talk to me about the like data processing and the intelligibility that goes into once you have all that data. It's very nice to be like, hey, we have like,
we
5,000 hours of video.
Yeah, we prepared a 200-page report.
But nobody reads that. So how are you thinking about actually compressing that down? Because that seems uniquely suitable for AI. But there's still a lot of art in terms of like, a lot of people say, oh yeah, I did a deep research report, and then the next query was, give me 10 bullet points about that, because I didn't actually want the full report.
So our vision here is like, we are building the like deep research, but for primary research. So you think about deep research is like, all right, all desk research is now commoditized. So what if you just ask a question, you just want to like learn from real people that's much more up to date, that whatever, like your own proprietary data, it should be the same kind of idea, right? End-to-end agents are doing that. But today, like the premise of AI kind of scaling your qualitative research is like, you also have to help them do something with all that conversational data, right? Because otherwise you're like left with just like hours and hours of transcripts. And I'm like, I'm not going to review that. Right?
The application of this is, I know this is not what you're focusing on, but if I was a VC that wanted to write a multi-$100 million growth check, being able to like get live interviews with like 500 customers.
I mean, people already do this with GLG and
that's right. No, this is a huge opportunity actually. I have a whole side thought. Like, I think one of the challenges there is with the expert networks is all about finding the right people. But if you're in a situation where you can find the right people and you can find 100 of the right people.
Well, we just had Plato AI on. You should talk to them. They're in this batch. They do like LLM-based people search, so you can find like every person that at Databricks that was a former founder.
There's an opportunity to connect all of that through that. But what I was going to say with the synthesis is what we do is basically take in all the video stuff and then we like process it and we give you basically reports. But it's like not just a like, here's what it's telling you, like deep research style. But what you can do is like start like slicing and dicing it. You could like, we quantify it, we give you breakdowns, we like build highlight reels for you, and then like people can like cut it and segment it, and so it's like a whole analytics suite on top of qualitative data, which is like not a thing that has ever been done. Because
what were you doing? What were you doing before this?
So before this, I was VP of product at TripleByte. If you know them.
Harsh Tagar.
Harsh hired me. Exactly. He anyway, so I worked at TripleByte at Jumpstart, another company. So I was like leading product and design teams. But earlier in my career, I was a consultant where I was doing like this work nonstop. Where I was like,
are you a nominative determinism guy?
Yeah. He's looking for the capital
You're an absolute cannon
to fire $1 billion into research.
I have not capitalized on that.
I was looking at that.
We're big. We're big
into the names or the truth. The names are
I like
the
that.
truth.
I like that.
It works well for you.
I have a friend who always calls me the loose cannon. Like,
that's great.
It's like you can never know what to expect.
That's a little bit too much. You dial it in the capital cannon.
Exactly.
It's like you can trust it with your capital. Just give it to him and fire it in the capital cannon. And boom.
Yeah, I'm gonna pivot off
To the
of
moon.
loose cannon onto capital cannon. Yeah, that's
Aaron
good.
Capital Cannon. There you go. Anyway, this has been
Love it.
fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for
Thank
hopping
you.
on.
Great to meet you guys.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We'll have you back on sometime.
Can you introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Cinnamon. I'm a mechanical engineer by background.
Cool.
Built hardware for Apple, Google, Slack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hardware?
so-
Hardware.
Hardware for Slack.
What?
Yeah.
What do they have? At
RF
hardware?
X-Way. Oh, sorry. The Stanford Linear Accelerator Center.
Oh, that. Oh,
Not SLAC.
okay.
Not
Okay.
SLACK.
Okay, that makes more
Yeah.
sense. I was
Yeah.
like, what hardware device did I
Good
miss?
clarify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm Abhijit. I worked as a researcher at Stanford, a
Okay.
researcher at Harvard. I was like an intern at Intel.
Cool.
Built a lot of stuff, I guess.
Can you pull up on the mic a little bit
Yeah,
more?
absolutely. Yeah.
And then tell us what your company does.
Yeah. So we're Godella. We're building a frontier physics model for mechanical engineers.
Okay.
So currently, AI models can't handle physics accurately
Okay.
because a lot of them are language based.
Yes.
Ours are different. Ours
Okay.
are built to handle physics accurately,
Okay.
which means it can be used as a faster, cheaper replacement to simulations and physical prototypes.
Okay.
This is something that I think a lot of labs like to promise, right? Solving,
Yeah.
you know,
It was
they like
in
to bring
Sam
up,
Altman's
they like
blog
to
post
bring up
yesterday.
this idea
Yeah.
of solving these problems in physics.
So walk me through. It sounds like you're actually training a model. Is it all reinforcement learning with verifiable rewards, or are you generating a whole bunch of training data? Is there a human data labeling component? Like, what is the pipeline to create what you're creating?
So at a core, we extract embedded physics from data,
Okay.
and that makes it generalizable.
Okay.
Did you want to share more
Yeah,
about that?
so we don't use reinforcement learning or anything. It's basically like this sort of like, encoding framework, like where we actually like take the mesh itself. Like we work with meshes, right? Because we're like
Okay.
in simulation and stuff. So we take the fluid mesh and then we like encode it into like this low dimensional space, and that allows you to like learn the actual physics of the system.
Interesting.
And this allows, and when you do like symbolic regression on like the latent space, you get like a lot of, you get a lot more generalizability than you'd get with like regular models.
Okay.
So, yeah.
when did you guys start working on this?
Yeah.
Did you bring it into YC, or did you pivot to this at some
We
point?
brought it into YC. So we were TAing a computational mechanics class together at Stanford, which was
Fun.
teaching undergrads in mechanical engineering how to use the traditional simulation software.
Yes.
Kind of bred a hatred for those softwares. Meanwhile, Abhijit's doing insane research at Stanford to use ML to model the physical world in
Yes.
these crazy accurate ways. He's like building ML models for Intel that
Yes.
are replacing months of trial and error in their plasma etch process. And I realized like, hey, there's this huge opportunity to out with these old simulators.
Yep.
Let's bring physics-informed ML to the broader group of engineers who could really benefit from these faster, cheaper answers.
Okay. Try and make it a little bit more concrete for me. I'm familiar with like CFD, computational fluid dynamics. I have an engine and I'm trying to simulate how the air will flow over
Yeah.
the jet that I'm building. Is that an example that we could use to kind of build off of? Is it just faster inference than calculating everything deterministically? Is that the
Yeah,
goal?
absolutely. Like all of simulation, every time you start with a simulation tool, the engineer is starting with a question, right? You've got a question in your
Sure.
3D model. You want to know what is drag
What's the
on my,
drag?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How's that going to change as I change thickness or angle of attack of my
Sure.
airfoil? Now imagine instead of needing to learn a simulation software, you can ask with natural language,
Oh,
drop
okay.
in your CAD,
Cool.
and get simulation quality results instantly.
Interesting.
When we say instantly,
Wow.
it's 4,500 times faster than
Yeah.
a benchmarked GPU accelerated solver that we tested against.
Wow. Okay, very cool. What's the
yeah.
go-to-market like? I mean,
Yeah,
I
and
imagine
talk
you're,
about
you're
traction.
selling to like very large aerospace defense companies, or who else is building stuff? I mean, Apple, Google, these companies could buy this?
Yeah, exactly. I think the huge benefit of physics-informed ML is we can tackle problems that traditional simulators cannot tackle, multi-physics, multi-scale. We make it extremely feasible to tackle those problems, and we can also fill in the gaps where your idealized equations don't suffice to capture the complexity of the problem.
Sure.
So these problems that Apple, Google, maybe aerospace are throwing millions at in terms of R&D and building and testing, we can give you accurate physics models that can replace your need to physically build and test a product. So.
And they can probably like reality check your faster results with the traditional system that they have in place whenever
Build
they
that-
need to,
yeah, and build that confidence in the
run that
product.
overnight
Yeah.
instead
Exactly.
of while
Talk
they're live
about
designing.
traction,
Yeah,
selling it
how's
so
it been?
far.
It's been great. So we launched 2 weeks ago. We entered a $25K a year contract with an engineering firm to
Congratulations.
replace Ansys, which is a $30 billion incumbent.
Wow.
However, I think our stronger pull right now is we have some exciting opportunities with enterprise customers to, again, tackle those highest value problems where there is no solution for. If we're modeling something like drop simulation, right? Like there is no great simulator that gives you that fast, accurate answers, even
Yeah.
though it's, governed by
simulation
physics
software
V1.
gets like 70% accuracy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's also very slow though. It's
Yeah,
like 2
exactly.
weeks to compute
Exactly.
a drop simulation on a 14-inch MacBook Pro today. So like these really high value problems for enterprise customers, we have the opportunity to go apply our software and they'll give them more accurate answers.
Very cool. How big is the team? Where are you going next? How's the fundraise going?
Yeah, it's 3 core, 1 advisor. The fundraise is going well. We're
great.
just about, well, it's very exciting. We're just,
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's very busy.
Whoever's like, bidding, I'm sure they're, going to watch this. So.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic demo day. We've been
thank
giving
you.
out hats
Thank
to
you.
folks who come on the stream. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you
Great
guys.
to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Can you introduce yourselves? What are you building?
Sure. So we're Morpho AI. We're building a software tool for engineers that are building new robots and new machines.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
Yeah. So I came from the manufacturing tech world.
Okay.
We both met at Harvard. I was an MBA.
Cool.
He was a postdoc, and you should talk about yourself too.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I met her when I was at Harvard. Like she said, we got an introduction from a mutual mentor. I did my PhD at MIT, focused on automating the design of robots. So it seemed like, wanted to bring that into some sort of product, show people in the world how useful it was and how it could change the way people design. And
Yeah.
she was super excited about changing all the pain points in manufacturing. So we're doing this.
What is exciting in terms of robotics in manufacturing? There's a lot of noise about humanoids, but we've talked to a lot of people who are just saying
robotics in manufacturing, or is it a tool to accelerate the manufacturing of robots?
Oh, yeah.
Second one.
Yes,
Oh.
the second one.
But,
yeah.
but the main beachhead market is really in industrial robots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
give us
we were
some
both
examples
right.
of what
Yeah,
those
yeah.
look like.
Yeah, so the crazy stat that we found is, if you're actually buying a robot off the shelf,
Yeah.
you can't actually just like put it in the factory floor. Like 90+% go through a customization process.
Wow.
So that's like 6 months of lead
90%.
time,
Yeah.
and it takes up a lot of engineering
Sure.
hours. So one of our customers, they were trying to build a full new industrial robot arm.
Sure.
6 months gone in,
Yeah.
arms not lifting.
Yeah.
They came to us, and in 2 days we basically redid their entire hardware design.
Interesting.
So quite literally, we're allowing engineers to build new robots overnight. Is the hope, and in the future, in a matter of minutes.
How concentrated is the robotic arm market? Are there just a few companies that you really need to integrate with deeply, or do you need to create something more generalizable out of the gate?
So we're starting out with a little bit more of the OEM side of things,
Okay.
but also these integrators that are buying these arms and saying, I
Oh,
now need
sure.
a new hand. So
Yeah.
out of like the 50,000 robots that get deployed in
Yeah.
a given year, most of them have a new hand that's made. And so
Yep.
now you have a generalist engineer trying to make a new hand for 4 to 6 weeks
Sure.
in a new design. So really plugging in that early stage of what do I build
Yeah.
before we even get to the programming part of
Yeah,
it.
the whole idea is you just have to input the task specifications that you needed to solve, and then as much as possible, we're automating of the mechanical and somewhat the control design side of things.
Is there a lot of data that you need to feed in? Is there a lot of data that you need to pull from the manufacturer before you can?
We work with parts that manufacturers have and that they like to work with.
Okay.
And aside from that, it's task specifications. But we, unlike a lot of the Gen AI companies out there,
Yeah.
we do employ some Gen AI solutions, but they're all trained from simulation and not from data sets.
Interesting.
And that's really important because the data for how do you go from design to how well it's going to work,
Yeah.
that doesn't really exist. Nobody takes logs and curates date sets of things they built and how well they worked.
Sure.
Talk about traction.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
like you guys already are in market.
Yeah, so we actually just got a grant from the UK government, £2.5 million British pounds, the
fantastic.
last couple of months ago.
Non-dilutive.
Fully non-dilutive.
Congratulations. We love it for that, Jordy. Jordy.
Oh my God, my ears.
Hey, non-dilutive.
That's less loud in here than out there.
Non-dilutive funding from Europe just shooting themselves in the foot.
Not getting on the countdown.
they're going to be like, why didn't we get
Why didn't we get
equity?
equity? At least like a quarter point or something. Anyway,
Yeah, but-
congratulations.
Thank you. None of us are British, but they basically have this.
Well, we're setting up an office in London. Like we're really excited about working with them and setting up an
Yeah,
office.
of course.
there.
Of course, there's
yeah.
benefits to the
Yeah,
research
yeah,
community.
yeah.
Absolutely.
We're
No,
jumping
We have a lot
around
of
side.
collaborators there as well.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
fantastic. That's
Yeah,
great.
it'll be an amazing
Yeah.
outcome for them.
So, I mean-
last thing,
Yeah.
bull bear on humanoids.
Yes, humanoids. What's your take?
I'm bear, but
Okay.
like medium bear. I don't know. It was like, okay, if you're going to build a humanoid, which humanoid? Like people come in all sorts of sizes and shapes.
Yeah.
A construction worker is not the same as like a toddler or something like that. Okay, not
ballerina
toddler, but like
or-
ballerina, exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
linebacker looks different than a
So you're going to
sprinter.
need custom designs regardless of what
Sure.
you do. But I mean, the other side of things is just like, what is the application right now of the humanoid? humanoids that isn't solved better by re-engineering the things around the humanoid. There's a long tail there. So we hope we can help people to design the humanoids of the future. Just don't think it's here yet.
I think there's a
you're not saying bearish in a 100-year timeline. You're
or
saying
even maybe a
bearish in
10-year
like
time.
2-year timeline.
I just think it's a little.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
reasonable stance.
Awesome.
Anyway,
All right, great to meet you guys.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you a
all the
salute
progress.
so we don't have to deal with the whole.
Or we could do like an
handshake.
air fist like it
There
was
we go.
COVID. Oh, okay, perfect.
Anyway. Who are you guys? What are you guys building? And please, microphone as close to your face as possible.
Yeah, I'm Daniel.
Cool.
And this is Musa.
Cool.
And we're the co-founders of VibeGrade.
What do you guys do?
So we help teachers save time grading papers directly in their existing learning management system.
What's the response been like? Do the teachers love it?
Yeah, actually all of our customers are paying out of pocket right
Really?
now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay. Interesting.
Crazy. Yeah.
You said in their LMS?
Yes.
So who are you plugging into? Who's the most dominant platform providers right now?
So the main one, the best integration is on Google Classroom.
Oh, interesting.
So a lot of
Is
K-12.
Blackboard not a thing anymore?
Not that much.
Oh,
There's
I did
some
myself.
teachers.
We got a request for it, but most teachers are on Google Docs and Canvas.
Sure.
So like most K-12, which we serve, are on Google Docs and Classroom.
Yeah.
We have Toddle as well, but it's mainly those few.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but for universities, they like Canvas is great. Like they can, it'll go and highlight like actual sections.
So can you add that on as like one of those like if I'm in Google Docs, I can do an add-on.
it's a Chrome
and
extension.
It's a Chrome extension.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we realized that teachers, they don't want to have to learn a new tool and go to a new platform to do that.
Okay.
So we built an integration that works directly with Google Docs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And directly with Canvas. So it's easy as clicking a button.
Yep.
And then we open up a window inside Google Docs.
Yeah, so walk me through the typical like workflow homework. I assume it's like the student uses the teacher
Daniel
uses
was just
ChatGPT to write the questions.
Yeah.
The student uses ChatGPT
Write
to
the
write the
answer.
answers, and then the teacher goes back and uses
then you
ChatGPT to grade.
you guys grade it.
You guys grade it.
Yeah.
But what's the actual workflow?
No human in the loop at all.
Are students sending Google Docs links to their teachers when they're done?
So Daniel was just in high school, so he really knows how this works.
Oh,
Are you in high school
I dropped out of
Yeah.
You dropped out of high school. Get the bottle of wine. No, we're not good. Congratulations.
Yeah.
High school dropout.
So the
absolute
workflow-
Chad.
Yeah,
You
teachers.
front ran everybody. Everybody that was like coming into demo day.
Oh yeah, I dropped out of college.
You're
It's like that's so played out.
you had to one up.
Yeah.
I had to go farther.
Yeah, I mean,
So
like,
you're selling. I think we heard about you earlier. You're selling it back to your teachers now, like that you at
I
the
mean,
school you dropped out of.
sort of. I mean, they don't really like me that much
No?
for some reason. Yeah, like on my final exam. Well, I mean, I skipped finals
Yeah.
to go fly to. We went to this EdTech conference in
Okay.
Orlando.
Nice.
So I guess they don't really like me because of that.
no.
But we had to bring it to more teachers.
Well, they'll like you when you're the commencement speaker in a couple years.
Maybe, yeah.
Hopefully.
So the workflow is where teachers, usually students submit on Google Classroom or like Canvas.
Yep.
They submit a Google Doc or a PDF, and then the teacher opens it up, the doc, and they grade it within by like highlighting certain sections,
Sure.
adding comments,
yeah.
a summary of the feedback. So we do the whole process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right in the Google Doc, and then we have the teacher review everything. They can speak to our system to
Yep.
understand their tone and their style.
Yep.
So then we add those comments. in.
How is the actual like testing and grading and homework process changing? Because I imagine that the solution to ChatGPT homework is probably everyone's on a laptop typing the answers in the classroom, and there's a monitor watching that you're not just AIing it, and then it can be AI graded, and then that's a win for everyone.
Yeah.
Is that roughly what's happening?
Yeah, like the thing that we've seen is like people say all the time, like students are writing with ChatGPT, teachers are going to grade with AI.
Yep.
Like, what's the whole point? But well, the objective of the student is to learn.
Sure.
And if you're just using like ChatGPT and mindlessly submitting something, well, then you're not doing the right thing.
Yep.
There's always going to be a way to get around it.
Yep.
If you really don't want to learn.
Yep.
But like for teachers, the main like objective is to give students the best feedback and instruction.
Yep.
So what we're doing is just enabling them to do that a lot better, because even in school, when like our teachers would give us just like generic copy paste feedback.
Yeah.
So we just want to give students the best feedback possible.
Okay.
Give teachers their time back, and they really get the value because they're the ones experiencing the benefits.
Yeah. Talk to me about the top of funnel.
Why would you not at one point just give the tool to students as well?
Yeah, 100%. That's actually what we're working on next. So we just signed 3 contracts with schools last week.
Okay, congratulations.
And they want to be able to give this tool to students so that while they're writing, they're going to get real-time feedback on their Google Doc as if the teacher were adding comments in real time. So it's sort of like, you submit a rough draft to your teacher, they have to grade it, and then give it back to you, and then you can do a final draft. Instead of that, why not just have like the assistant give you feedback in real time?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
On the doc.
Yeah, that's great.
cool.
Talk to me about the top of funnel. How are you telling teachers that this works? I imagine at the price point you can't do hand-to-hand combat sales. How are you getting in front of teachers these days?
So we have 100 teachers that are paying completely out of pocket, and all of that has been organic through either the Chrome Web Store. So they find us when they install another extension like Grammarly. And then they tell their friends about it. So word of mouth has been really strong. We got 600,000 views on Instagram and Facebook in the past 30 days.
There we go.
We just started posting like memes and things like that, and teachers really they share it, and then they look at our page, and so they find us there.
That's great.
So that's the top of funnel up until this point, and we're going to start pumping out more like UGC style content.
We're actually going to the biggest EdTech conference in the U.S.
Let's go.
At the end of this month.
The Super Bowl of EdTech.
Yeah, there's going to be 20,000 teachers there, and we got a really big. We bought a 400 square foot booth there, and we're going all out for it, trying to reach as many teachers as possible.
Congratulations!
How do you guys make your first money on the internet?
How did we first make
back in the day? I used to make websites for like random people. I charged this pastor in New Jersey like $3,000 to make his church a website.
Wow, there we go.
That was back when I was maybe 16.
I made like a mental health chat app in like grade 10.
Nice.
And like a couple of people, like one person in Japan found it and they installed it and paid for it.
Paid for it.
Yeah.
Let's go. That's amazing. Congratulations. Have a great time of day.
Great to meet you.
Thank you.
Bloom, are you building Bloom filters?
No.
What do you?
So the easiest way to
Bloom and
explain-
onions.
Nope.
No. Okay, break it down.
No. So lovable, but for native mobile apps.
Okay,
It's
cool.
the easiest way to
Interesting.
We'd love to just like show you.
Please.
Okay, so have you guys tried to build mobile apps
3
before?
touches. What is that? I've never seen that interaction before. It's got a UI from the future.
So have you guys ever tried to build mobile apps?
Yes. I wrote Objective-C. It was terrible.
Okay.
I wrote Xcode. It was awful.
You're the
Xcode
perfect.
sucks.
It's so
I need to go
we
through
love
Xcode all the
Apple,
time,
but we're very excited about the Anthropic partnership.
Yeah, so typically you'll have to write code, you'll have to build the app in Xcode or something, you'll have to submit it for App Store review, you have to get your users to download it and test flight, enter an invite code. Okay, so with us, I can literally just like talk into my phone, build a native app, and then I can send it to you via literally bumping phones.
Oh, interesting.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Let's see this.
And it'll
Okay.
just load the app
Let's
right
see.
onto the home screen.
Okay. Malware installed. All personal information extracted. Here we go.
I don't know.
I got one. Let me see.
Let's try again.
We got half.
I mean, this is just using AirDrop.
I think. Do you need to turn it on again? No. Oh no! Live demos. They're so tough.
AirDrop. Like maybe we need another iPhone.
Are you on the same Wi-Fi?
You want to try?
Yeah, I'll try.
Let's see. AirDrop. AirDrop is on. Oh, contacts only.
Yeah, that's
now it's
probably
on
the
everyone.
issue.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, cool.
Let's try it now. There we go.
All
It was
right.
it was
So
skill
it's
issue.
coming.
Skill issue, maybe. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Is it going?
This is
I
all
got
Apple.
the wave. You saw the wave, right?
Yeah.
I only have
saw it
Ramp,
initially.
Public, Add Quick, 8 Sleep, Wander, and Bezel installed right now. Those are the only apps. I have.
Let's give it one more shot. You can take
Really?
it.
Let me try it.
Otherwise, we'll have to
refresh.
retry on your phone.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not like this is live or anything. Okay, you try. You try.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. Anyways, keep while
Yeah,
we're...
Yeah, so
let's gonna try it.
So when someone like tries to build an app with Bloom, right?
It's doing the
I
wave,
don't know.
but it's not doing that.
I think
I
it's
don't
the
know.
internet. The internet just sucks.
I think the internet is not
Let's
great.
blame the internet.
Anyway, so what you would see is you'd be able to open this app on your phones like instantly, right?
Okay.
And it uses app clips under the hood.
Oh yeah. Okay.
very
So
cool.
that's how you're getting the app on without me
exactly.
actually installing the full app. Cool.
Exactly. And then
so you're really hacking the app clips thing. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, cool.
And so the other thing is like when you prompt to build an app with us, we also automatically deploy a backend for you that real time syncs data between devices.
As I understand app clips, it's like there's like one app, like the Uber app exists, and then there's an app clip that ties to Uber. Are you creating like custom app clips? It's all around one iOS.
Exactly.
Oh wow.
It's one Bloom app clip that then loads apps
whatever
from anyone. Like
so it's like an app store within an app store.
Yeah, kind of thing like
wait,
that.
I mean, we don't want to say that. We don't want to say those words.
We've talked on our show before about this idea of like ephemeral apps. Apps is like memes.
Exactly.
Like there's a lot of things that should exist, but only for like a day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We've had so many ideas ideas for like funny apps, but
Exactly.
we don't want to actually go pay, find someone
No, it used to be
do
there's
this.
so many
It's
people
difficult.
people have an idea for an app, and you're like, well, you realize it'll cost like $1 million to build that.
Exactly.
It's
So
like
much
it's not
upkeep.
actually valuable.
Exactly.
Got it,
Like
okay.
with us, we built an app for demo day in 5 minutes that everyone in the audience could just scan to like vote on our valuation in 5 years, and it like had a graph that updated in real time for everyone because it
amazing.
has a backend connected
That's
to
very
it.
crazy.
And so what we want to enable is a creator economy, but for
Yeah.
software.
Okay, under the hood, what are the best code generation LLMs that you're using?
Yeah.
What do you like? What's exciting, and how's that market developing?
Yeah, so I mean, right now we're obviously for the smartest models we're using Claude 4 Sonnet.
Claude 4.
But we're also experimenting with a smart mode and a fast mode because
Sure.
sometimes people just want to make like a quick edit to their app, and like literally you can just speak into our phones, right?
Yep.
You just go into like this like edit mode, and then you
Sure.
can just type, hey,
Oh, wow.
add this feature or whatever.
Very cool.
And so sometimes you just want those changes fast.
Okay.
And what's cool is like if you had this app open, it would also hot reload on your device.
Yeah.
Right. So
Very
yeah.
cool.
What use cases are you most excited about? What are you seeing? What categories broadly?
Yeah, I mean, so right now we're seeing people that already think of software as a creative outlet use this. So developers, designers, and entrepreneurs.
Sure.
So especially for designers and non-technical entrepreneurs, it's great because they can just like their creativity gets unlocked with this.
Yep.
And so we're seeing people build all kinds of things like personal apps, but also apps that I wouldn't have imagined before, like someone in Africa building like a wildlife tracking app for their
wow.
conservation.
Cool.
And then people building like funny apps for
to
weddings.
find the most delicious animals to go after? To conserve the animals for my own hunting? For my next hunting expedition? No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, what I'm really excited about is like the apps that I can't even imagine, right? It's
Yeah,
kind
of course.
when the YouTube founders
Yeah.
put out YouTube, I'm sure they weren't
didn't
imagining
imagine
vlogging.
Mr. Beast or
Yeah,
MKBHD.
exactly.
Just like, you
Exactly.
put out images in ChatGPT. They didn't really imagine Studio Doll
Exactly.
happening.
And for us, I mean, it's software, so you can literally do anything.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
How's the round going?
Oh, round is closed.
Oh, there we go.
Let's go. All right. All right. Pleasure, guys. See you.
Goodbye.
Good.